Day 5, last day of the week, Friday, last workout. I gotta get in my head because I'm depleted, cranky as shit, angry. I gotta finish this back session. Let's get in and get it done.
Alright, we're starting off back today with neutral grip lat pulls to the front. As I previously stated, this is one of those pieces of equipment that I used when I was a teenager. And remarkably, it's smoother than a lot of the modern day lat pulls that I use. Even the one at Armbrust, I typically have to pull out my spray can of silicone to be able to spray it because it drags so bad, which is not a shot at Armbrust. It's just making the point that most gyms, their commercial equipment will drag or has not been maintained terribly well, and that's why I have a can of silicone spray in my bag at all times. OCD much? Yeah, I can't stand drag. It needs to be very, very smooth. As I stated yesterday for my chest workout, it's later in the week. It's the second time that I'm hitting back this week. I focus more on pulling weights, or pulling larger weights, at the beginning of the week, coming off of my skip load. When I'm depleted later in the week, it becomes more of a game of feel. I'm going to use as much weight as I can, but I'm more concerned about digging into the muscle as much as possible, going after the pump, getting a little bit higher reps than I do earlier in the week, and more of a full range of motion typically. Now, I know that I'm not feeling very strong here because I have my feet in front of me. Typically what I do when I'm going higher reps, I'm going for feel when it comes to a lat pull, is my feet are behind me so that my torso is more upright. Because I have them in front of me, I'm probably feeling weak here and wanting to be able to pull a little bit more weight or pull a little bit stronger. And you can pull stronger when your feet are in front of you. This is a great angle to show that I come way off the seat. A lot of people question me about this. I've even heard someone tell me more than once that, oh, you're cheating. That's not very good form. That is something that I have come to over the years that to me makes those reps smooth and fluid. I'm not sure why. In fact, I didn't even notice it until I videoed it and saw it on a cell phone video one time. Moving on to long pulley rows. This is one of my favorite grips. That grip's probably older than I am, or that bar handle anyway. I'm not going to pull big here. It's going to be more of a stretch and squeeze. The fact that this is the first rowing movement that is not supported by a pad, I got to be very careful anyway on my lower back. I'm leaning in as much as I can, as much as what is comfortable, what I feel comfortable with, as far as stretching and putting my lower back into any type of position that might not be all that great. Mrs. Skip isn't with me today for this workout. I am selfishly doing this workout myself while she is with her mother at the hospital after her surgery. I say selfish because I will be up to the hospital when I'm done filming this session, but being the last session of the week for the prep week, it is pretty important, it was pretty important to me to be able to get this session done. And believe me, I would have rather been at the hospital. I was feeling like ass. I was depleted, incredibly run down. As much fun as I had being able to see family and hang out with a few friends this week, the main reason for this trip was because of Mrs. Skip's mom's surgery. It was quite stressful, concerned about her and what the outcome was going to be for the surgery and her diagnosis. And as some of you know who follow me on social media, it did end up wearing on me to the point where I got shingles again and had to pull out of the show. Oh, you should have stuck it out, Skip. You don't stick it out through shingles. And family, in my world, comes first before any show. I'm not chasing a pro card, and even if I was, I still probably would have had to pull out. It really wasn't a voluntary decision. I would have either stayed and seen it through and potentially gotten pretty sick, fucked myself up, or you got to know when it's time to pull the plug. And it was time. Here I'm doing an exercise that I rarely do. Those of you who have watched the off-season footage, watched the rest of the prep footage, know that I have said more than once, I don't like doing all my reps one side of an exercise and then doing the rest of the reps on the other side. I like to alternate left-right. This particular exercise does not allow for that. There's no way that my lower back could support me standing up, doing a regular dumbbell row with 2 dumbbells, going left, right, and making the set twice as long without my lower back pretty much wanting to collapse. Because I don't do this exercise very often, and have only recently, like let's say today, come to doing this exercise, I'm trying to find a weight that is heavy enough, so I'm just continuing to go up and work my way up in the dumbbells until I feel that I'm in a good weight range. Moving on to the machine row with the swivel handle. It is incredibly difficult, even though this is only the 3rd exercise of my back session, to get retraction. So I had to be very careful with the amount of weight I was using, because I find it useless to do any type of rowing movement if you can't get retraction in your back. Retraction basically meaning bringing the shoulder blades together at the top of the movement, or to finish what I call finishing back reps. Matter of fact, I think I'm so out of it for this last session of the week and so depleted, my mind is so scattered, that I had myself convinced that I was matching today because my wrist straps and my hat matched. That's pretty bad. Match game was not on point. Clearly you can tell if you compare video footage today to say Monday or Tuesday. I'm retardedly flat. I'm nowhere near as vascular. I'm clearly getting leaner because it's been 5 days. I'm getting closer to my skip load. I'm only 2 days away. But it's painfully apparent that I'm flattening out by the day. It's the nature of prep. It's the nature of getting lean. You're not going to get lean without being somewhat flat. You must deplete glycogen to efficiently burn body fat. Move on to the 1940s maybe, 1950s chain-driven Nautilus pullover. Other than the drag, which is pretty bad, this piece of equipment is just the most awesome pullover I've ever used. Modern day pullover machines don't even allow for much of a stretch, especially when they're not plate loaded, but have a weight stack. This one allowed for a ridiculous stretch. I knew I was under a lot of stress this week because of how depleted I was by the time I got to the end of the week. I did no cardio during this week, and I had been doing double cardio sessions 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, coming into this week. And I felt more depleted and more beat up. I can't even imagine what it would have felt like if I would have continued the double cardio during this week while we were in Michigan. This might be the best curl machine I think I've ever used. There was one similar to it at the Y Center when I grew up in Battle Creek, Michigan, that I started using when I started training when I was 14 years old. The stack, as far as weight stack, is monstrous. Yet, to fully feel the biceps stretch and contract, you can only use like 4 or 5 plates. I think I had 3 on at the time. It's laughable how old school pieces of equipment like this had such huge weight stacks, yet nobody could touch them. Nobody could go. If you got halfway down a weight stack, you were a badass. This piece here actually doubles as a tricep extension. You can see the seat on the front in the mirror that you can sit on with your back to the pad and do a tricep extension. You know you're flat when you're in the middle of the set and you can't find a vein. If you happen to find one, just point it out to me. I got nothing. Obviously, this is my one exercise for biceps that I will be doing roughly 5 sets. And then I will move on to traps. I train traps once a week. And it's not early in the week. I typically hit rear delts after back in the early part of the week. And then in the late part of the week when I'm done with back, I hit shrugs or traps. Apparently I stand corrected. I'm going to hit rear delts twice this week and then still hit traps, which is not common. I must have felt rear deltless come Friday, or wanted some kind of minor pump, I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to show off that ass. Just saying. You can check the old school pictures there on the wall. There's a shot up there of Bertil Fox. You know that's old school because his ass is rotting in a St. Kitts prison for killing his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mom. If you don't know who Bertle Fox is, shame on you. You're not old enough. You know you're depleted when you're doing rear delt flies on a machine and your cramps want to tricep up. Let's go with your triceps want to cramp up. If my entire delt complex is weak, my rear delts are the weakest muscle in my entire body, which is why I've started to train them more, give them more frequency, give them more work, trying to bring them up. Because when your shoulders are not filled out and rounded out, typically you'll be weaker on the back side of your deltoid complex versus the front. Finishing up the week in this workout with just some dumbbell shrugs. I pretty much have nothing in the tank. I'm not going to go terribly heavy. I, at this point, just pretty much want to say I'm going to hit them as hard as I can, dig in as deep as I can, try for a pump, and then I'm getting the hell out. And then I'll count down the hours to the skip load in 2 days. I didn't train traps for years, primarily because I was doing heavy bent rows, heavy T-bar rows. I was even pulling deads years ago. So I didn't feel the need to add shrugs into the mix. Since having all the lower back problems that I've had, my bent over rowing has been limited. I cannot do deads under any circumstance. So I recently went back to putting direct trap work into my protocol, which just basically means regular shrugs, be it on a hammer strength shrug machine, dumbbell shrugs, or Smith barbell shrugs. I'm narrow shouldered anyway, never really had a problem with traps. I don't want my traps to overpower my very narrow delts, so they're not a huge priority. And that's why I don't train them ridiculously heavy, and why I train them at the end of the week with very little priority.